Welcome, boys and girls of the Eastern Conference, to Isles Talk. My name is Paul Kreischer. I'm your host for this afternoon. Very early show today. The Islanders have a preseason game against the Philadelphia Flyers at 7, and we normally do a show on Wednesdays, but we're going to do this show early. It's for everybody anyway, so you guys can come back and watch this whenever you want. Uh, but for those of you who are here, welcome. And before we continue any further with the show, um, we wanted to give our heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of the Farmingdale uh, school, the bus tragedy, the loss of those two teachers. I'm originally from Long Island, Mineola, a little bit of New Hyde Park as well. Uh, but also with that tragedy, where it was as well. Um, it's on Route 84, right before Port Jervis, New York. Honestly, guys, it's maybe 2 minutes. I'm sorry, 10 minutes away from my house, and to learn that they were actually heading up to Greeley. Again, Greeley's no more than 20 minutes taking the back roads. So for me, it's a little bit of hitting home in both directions. So again, from Isles Talk, we give out our sincere condolences and prayers to the friends and family of everyone involved in the Farmingdale bus accident. So, having said that, on a lighter note, depending on who you are, what team you root for, this is the Eastern Conference preview. And before we go on, Gary and Joe. Here's Gary, hard at work, supposedly. He can't make the show today. So Gary will be here sometime next week. If not, he'll just cut me off. And Joe is also hard at working at his store. So, we will get those two back at some point, especially with the season starting. So, having said that, um, this is an out of the box preview for the Eastern Conference. I cover all of the teams, and it's one of those previews where I don't say this team should make the playoffs. This team shouldn't make the playoffs. Um, it's something very difficult to do, especially when it's 6, 7 months down the road. You got to play the season. Okay. Very difficult to do. It's not one of those things that um, I'm a fan of. I don't like looking 6 months into the future like that. It's impossible because there are other variables. There's other things going on in the league, and we've all experienced it now. So this is more a living in the now moment. It's a preparation for this upcoming season, but it's going to give every fan of this conference a good perspective on where they are, what they may need to do, and we move on from there. So let's set up the criteria here. When I do a preview like this every year, and again, I've been doing this now, oh God, 10 years, and I enjoy doing it this way. When I look at a preview and I look at the NHL season in particular, especially in the Eastern Conference, being an Islanders fan, I look at it as a horse race. Okay. Belmont Park, UBS Arena, practically same place. Okay. There's only a certain amount of horses who have the stamina to get themselves through that race. There's only so much track or games that certain teams they only have so much room to catch up on. So, and you can switch it NASCAR, Formula One, whatever racing you're into, it's always a race to get into the playoffs. For some teams, if they lose real early, the playoffs start like game 25, game 20 sometimes, depending on where they are. So what I do is that I try to include all of the teams by basically setting a bar. What number could work? What number do teams have to be at now in September, right before October? How many points would a team need to make the playoffs at this point in September, in October, not April, not March, September or October? Okay. For this season, I've set that standard to 93 points, something similar to last year. Okay. And the reason why I set it to 93 points was basically the last couple of seasons back in 2001, 21 during the COVID season, most teams were on pace for 100 points or better. The season after that, it was 100 points or better. You needed 100 points just to get eighth place. But still, those baselines were correct. Anyone who had over 91 points, you made it to the playoffs. This was last year. Anyone who didn't have 91 points or less, you didn't make the playoffs. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. All right. So if you think that your team right now, September or October, have a chance to get 93 points this season, good, because that's where you want to be. So for those of you who are like, this team's going to make the playoffs, that team's going to make the playoffs, this team's going to miss the playoffs, yada, 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 throw out your tarot cards, throw out your pendulum, throw out your tea leaves. This is not the preview show for you. I'm just going to say that for you right now. So don't worry about it. Let's stick with, first off, I have broken down all the teams into certain categories: um, the lottery, my sophomores, my bubble, and my playoff teams. Each have a different meaning, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to land where they are right now, because this is just the beginning. It's the beginning of October. Let's face it. It's the last week in September. It's the beginning of October. This is where your team is right here and now. This is what we want to work on. So, without further ado, the lottery teams. Now, again, don't go jumping off the railings here, some of you fans. Um, Lottery means you are not supposed to hit the lottery. You're not going to get that lottery pick. You're not going to stink all season. Okay. What this means is these two teams are the least likeliest teams to get 93 points. And those two teams, as of right now, are the Philadelphia Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens. So I have yet to do a preview of both those teams, and I'm just going to do a quick one right now. The Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers have had a ton of injuries. There's a lot of question marks with this team. Who are they? What are they? How good are they when they're healthy? Um, there's just too many variables. There's too many questions to this team. And in order for them to rack up 93 points, they have to go through the rest of the division, the Metro Division. Can't see it. It doesn't mean Philadelphia is going to be bad. They may be a fun team to watch all season long, but I don't feel that they are going to have enough. Even if they traded all season long, I don't think they're going to have enough to get into the playoffs with 93 points. I don't think they're a 93-point team. So I said this last year. I'll say it again. Your season, good or bad, will still depend on Carter Hart. Only this time, you guys have got to stay healthy. A good season from Sean Couturier, a healthy season from Sean Couturier will certainly do that. Cam Atkinson, another healthy season. But Flyers fans, don't be upset if you do become a lottery team or you draft somewhere in the top 10 in this upcoming draft. Having said that, now with the Philadelphia Flyers, the Montreal Canadiens are also another team that I feel that are least likely to get 93 points. With the team that they currently have now, Something may change, but I don't think the Montreal Canadiens built right now can get themselves to 93 points. Bottom line. However, Atlantic Division, be warned right now. If the Montreal Canadiens stay healthy, they're going to wreak havoc on someone's playoff dreams. Montreal may not be, they may be the least likeliest team to make the playoffs, but they're going to play spoiler. They're going to make sure you get mad at them because if they're healthy, they've got some offense. They really do. We haven't been able to see it because of the injuries. God forbid any of these kids come together. You see a lot of good playing time. Montreal, I'll say this now. I don't think Montreal's a 68-point team. I think they're better than that. If they stay healthy, they're hanging around 80. But that's something that, Detroit doesn't want to hear. Buffalo doesn't want to hear. Ottawa doesn't want to hear. These guys are trying to beat the older three teams supposedly. But, you know, Montreal, Mon- Montreal's going to be that little pain if they can stay healthy. They will ruin someone's playoff dreams, especially by the end of the season. So, Montreal fans, enjoy your season. What's up, Cutler? Enjoy your season. Wreak havoc in the Atlantic Division. You've got nothing to lose, but you're still the least likeliest team for 93 points right now with the team that you are currently built with. Now, that'll do it for my lottery teams. This is my sophomore teams. Okay, and what is a sophomore? Sophomore in high school. Students are just there. They're not freshmen. They're not rookies. They don't know who they are yet. They don't know what they're going to be doing. They're not juniors. They're not taking their SATs. They're not prepping to be seniors or whatnot. They're not looking at colleges yet. They're just there. They're not seniors. They're not graduating. They're not doing anything. These are the teams that are just in the conference, and we have no place to put them. Okay. The first team that I'm putting in here for my sophomore class, I've got four of them. The Columbus Blue Jackets are one of them. I Columbus is not going to be a 59-point team. They're going to be younger. They're going to be energetic. Again, I think they're going to be more like Montreal in the sense that anyone who kind of like brushes them off, I think Columbus is going to beat them. I like Columbus. I like their spirit. Okay. There's a lot of positive coming out of, Columbus now more so than ever, especially in the last couple of weeks. Um, Columbus, though, does not have a lot of experience. They're young, they're raw. Some of them are. There is talent there, though. Your offense is one of the youngest. As far as the defense goes, you're right there. You're pretty decent. Your goaltending is a little skeptical at the moment, but again, we don't know who the Columbus Blue Jackets are. We don't. Adam Fantilli's probably going to help you, but for right now, Columbus, I don't think you guys can reach 93 points with the team that is currently constructed. Now, the thing with sophomore teams here, this is the kicker. If everything is going good for Columbus, but they just don't have enough, I can see Columbus pulling Tampa Bay, a New York Islander. I can see them pulling a Boston Bruin. I can see Columbus trading assets just to improve the team and then making a longer run next season. I don't there and there's no shame at all if Columbus makes a decent run by the trade deadline, but they still feel they don't have enough. They can pull a Detroit, trade away a few of those assets, collect a few more picks, and then make another legitimate run next season. I don't think Columbus is too far back from everybody else, especially if Pittsburgh gets older and Washington gets older. I like where Columbus is right now, but Columbus really needs to discover who they are with what they have at this point. So at the end of September, beginning of October, do I think Columbus is a 93-point team? No, no. That doesn't mean you can't trade ahead and improve your team. You guys can still do that. Ottawa Senators, you're up next as sophomores. I know there's there's a lot of good things coming out of Ottawa right now. There's a lot of good things coming out of Ottawa. Ottawa, your offense is phenomenal. You guys are going to be so much fun to watch. What worries me is your offense going to be enough to get you into a playoff spot? Do you have enough for 93-point team? Your defense is a little eh. Your goaltending, I don't even know if you guys can stay healthy for both goaltenders. Over the last 3 years, your goaltenders only average about 53 games a season. You still got roughly 30 games to go. So your goaltenders have to stay healthy. That's a big one for me. Okay, you can have all the offense in the world, but if your defense is a little skeptical, your goalies can't stay healthy, I got to put you down as a sophomore class. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Okay. In this Eastern Conference, I've got 13 teams who have a shot at 93 points. Ottawa, you're one of them. You're number 13. You're going to be a lot of fun to watch. I hope you beat Toronto every time. But during the season, this is an easy one. This is for any NHL fan. We know this already. Ottawa, you're going to be buyers. You're going to be buyers probably around the trade deadline. You're going to want these kids to get as much experience as possible because Ottawa fans, I'll tell you right now, your team, you're also on a little bit on that rookie side. You've got some experience, but not really enough to be a threat just yet. Okay. Um, Other than that, like I said, your offense right now, built in September, you look good. You're lacking any experience, but that's okay. You're going to get it this season. You're younger on the offensive side and you're younger on the defensive side. Do I think you guys are going to be like the New Jersey Devils from last season? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't know if you're going to grab second like that, but you're going to be close. You're going to be in that playoff mix for the entire season. That's my hope. The other thing, Ottawa Senators, and this is what I've been saying for years now. I'm all fluff. I'm all good right now with everyone being in a playoff hunt. However, I can eliminate teams after 10 games. It's still possible to do. I do it every year. I get yelled at every year. But no matter what, those teams still get eliminated. Ottawa, looking at you. I've eliminated you 4 years in a row after game 10. You guys have got to get a good head start the first 10 games. You have to. There's no excuses anymore. The organization know it. The fans even know it. The fans know October has got to be a solid month for Ottawa. If Ottawa has a solid October, playoffs just got that much bigger for you. There's no doubt. Absolutely no doubt. So good luck to Ottawa. I still think you're buyers during the season, if not during the trade deadline. And I think you guys are going to come real close to the playoffs, or you might make the playoffs. But I'm rooting for you. It's long overdue. My next sophomore class, the Detroit Red Wings. Folks, pre-COVID, I always picked a dark horse to make the playoffs out of the sophomore class. Detroit's this team for me. There's a lot of offense. There's a lot of offense. There's a good balanced defense here. And I'll tell you what, right now, I like Detroit's goaltending over Ottawa's, over Buffalo's for right now. I do. Um, Detroit has all the goods, but we haven't seen it yet. So, does Detroit, as of right now, the way they are built, can they rack up 93 points? Yes, they can. Remember, they finished with 80 last season, but they started selling off pieces. They were done. Steve Eiserman wiped everything off again and started anew. He brought in Alex DeBrincat. People are sleeping on Detroit. Bad idea. Just like people are going to sleep on Montreal. Bad idea. This Atlantic division is going to be such a hot mess. And again, Detroit's going to be one of those teams, which is why I feel 93 points. Teams need to be built for 93 points right now because Detroit, I think, is going to be in there. Detroit, to me, I think makes the playoffs. They're going to be that surprise sleeper in the Atlantic division because I think everyone's focused on Ottawa, everyone's focused on Buffalo. Fine. I think Detroit's just going to come in, do their thing, and shock everyone north of the border. So, um, Detroit, good luck. And moving on to the final sophomore team, we're just going to be there. Washington Capitals. From what I've learned, Peter Laviolette was not a great choice to be coach. Could that help things? Probably. Here's my problem with Washington. Washington has a lot of mileage in this team. What do I mean by mileage? Right now, Washington is the fourth oldest team with 491 games per player. That's a lot. Doesn't include playoff games either. 491 regular season games per player. That's a lot. Washington's offense, they're averaging 30 years old. Their defense, a little younger at 28. Can the Washington Capitals stay healthy to make a run? If they stay healthy, yes, they can. Can the Washington Capitals rack up 93 points? Yes, they can. Absolutely. Not only would they stay healthy, I think they would be buyers. And then it wouldn't just be, actually, no, they're not, Brian. We'll get into the Islanders later. They're not that old. I'll let you know on that. Okay. The Washington Capitals will definitely be buyers if they're close. If not, you're going to see something out of Detroit last year. I think you're going to see Washington just start selling off as much as they can. Maybe do a retool, maybe do a rebuild. Again, you've got Ovechkin there, Kuznetsov. You've got Backstrom there for at least 2 or 3 more years. I don't think you're going to do a full rebuild. You're going to do some kind of a retool. But Washington, if they stay healthy, yeah, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think it would actually benefit Ovi because if the Capitals are in a playoff hunt, it'll take off some of the pressure off of Ovechkin to score 40, 50 goals a season. Because if Washington's out, you can block. You can pay more attention to Alex Ovechkin. So it'll be a decent one. If Washington can stay healthy. So moving on now, bubble teams. These are teams that are this close with maybe one or two minor issues that I have with the team. Certainly going to be buyers. I wouldn't expect anything less. These are going to be the teams that should make it down the line towards the end of the season. They're going to be in this hunt. A couple of these trades, they can get themselves into the playoffs. That's where I'm going here. My first bubble team. And again, nothing's in order here, folks. There's no 1 through 13 ranking here. Nothing's in order. But my first bubble team, Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo, I'm rooting for you. I'm just flat out rooting for you. I'm very well aware of Devon Levi. He He is your game changer. He's your season changer, boys and girls. You know, we're looking at a Calder Trophy candidate as a backup goaltender. I don't know if he'd get all those starts. Buffalo, your defense bothers me. We have to see a really good defense to go along with your offense. If the goaltending can survive, I could see Buffalo getting into the top three. Okay, but again, last year, you guys were close. You need a few more pieces, and then I think you can really challenge Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston. But you're right there. The other problem that you have is that you have Ottawa and Detroit right behind you. This is not going to be as easy as it was for you to get 91 points last year. Ottawa's going to last longer. Detroit's going to last longer. If Montreal stays healthy, they're not going to be easy to beat either. This Atlantic Division right now is going to be so much fun to watch. Watching all these fans go at each other, God, I can't wait from that side. Um, Buffalo, I'm still rooting for you. I think you can make it to the playoffs. I think you're built for it right now in September, but I do think you're going to be buyers uh, probably by the trade deadline, no doubt. My other bubble team, Florida Panthers. Listen, um, you guys have been solid the last 3 years. Last season, you had some injuries. You've got injuries to start this season. You need to play the same song and dance. You have to play the same song and dance. You don't have Brandon Montour. You don't have um, Eklund, Ekblad to start the season. Uh, and you just made one hell of a run to the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm not expecting you to bow down in the first half, but you got to see how much of a hangover you guys are going to have from going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. If Florida hangs on and they're able to keep up with the Ottawas, the Detroits, the Buffaloes, hell, even Boston and Tampa, I could definitely see Florida being buyers. And when you get those two defensemen back, look out for Florida in the playoffs. They're going to do the story all over again. And then everyone's going to be up in arms. So, Toronto, pace yourselves. Make sure you do really good in those first 10 games. Maybe take it to Thanksgiving. Keep tight with all of these players, all these other younger teams. Keep pace if you can. If you don't make it to the playoffs, this might be more of a blessing in disguise because you can definitely retool Florida right now without Ekblad and without Montour. You guys are actually looking pretty good on the mileage. 383 games per player. That's pretty good. That's actually younger than the New Jersey Devils right now. Average age, you're at 26. You're good on the offense. Defense, you're there. A little bit on the older side, but not too much. You're there. You are seriously right there. So if you miss the playoffs, it's not a bad thing, Florida fans. It's not. It's just a quick retool, and I think you guys are going to bounce right back. So Florida, good luck with that. Oh, Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins, you guys are the middle child here. The question for me is, can your goaltenders continue to do what they did last year? The defense is still solid. The goaltending needs to be solid. Offense is a little bit in question, and that's understandable after the changes that have gone through. However, your mileage, you're approaching 500 games per person. That's a lot compared to everyone else in the Eastern Conference right now. That's a lot. A lot of games played. Is that going to be is that going to be able to hold on to while these younger teams are catching up to you? Do you have the defense and the goaltending to stave off some of these younger teams? Offensively wise, you're a little low. Defensively wise, you're number one. Let's just be honest. So this is very much of a New Jersey Devil slash New York Islander type of season for you guys. Will defense and goaltending get you through the season? It should. I think 93 points for you guys right now in September is attainable. It's attainable. So you're not going to be out of it. Just be careful of these younger kids, these younger teams coming in after you, because they are definitely looking to dethrone. So we'll see what happens, Boston. But I do think Boston will be buyers as well. They're going to be buyers if they can get a chance to get into the playoffs. I think they're going to do it again. And again, the thing with Boston, if they make it to the playoffs, anything can happen, especially with that defensive group and the goaltenders. If they're healthy, they can wreak havoc on anyone's expectations. So Boston, just try to get into the playoffs. You're going to be good. Oh, bubble team. And I know some of you over here in the Metro, you're all going to be like, oh, he's a homer. But I got to do this. The Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins. I'll say this now. If this were if Pittsburgh had a 60 game season instead of an 82, I'd give the cup to Pittsburgh right now. I would. This was like 2013, I believe, with the Chicago Blackhawks. They were stacked. Everybody knew Chicago was winning that Stanley Cup that year. It was half a season, right? Pittsburgh, if this were a shorter season, I'd give you the cup right now. I would. But it's not. It's an 82 game season with a better and improved Eastern Conference. Erik Karlsson does help. But this is what you have out of Pittsburgh. To start the season, Pittsburgh's not even in the top 10 in goals. Believe it or not, by the numbers. Okay. Your defense is actually dab smack in the middle. Jari, Nedeljkovic, I believe they should be decent. I'm still wondering where your defense is going to play, where your defense is going to be. Okay. Does Pittsburgh have enough offense to get them into the playoffs? They could with Erik Karlsson. But here's the other problem that I have with Pittsburgh here. And not necessarily a problem, it's a question. Pittsburgh has right now the most games per player at 570. That's a lot of mileage. It's a lot of mileage. 570 games per player. It's the most. It's the most out of the Eastern Conference. Pittsburgh's offense is also the oldest at 31 years old. 31. Pittsburgh's defense, their average age is 29. And remember, boys and girls, Pittsburgh fans probably haven't told you this yet. Jake Gunsel's not playing yet. He's not. That's how you were able to get Erik Karlsson. So you're basically asking Erik Karlsson to put up Jake Gunsel like numbers. Good luck. Letang and Karlsson together would be phenomenal all season long if they can stay healthy. My issue with the Pittsburgh Penguins is that they had a healthy Crosby and a healthy Malkin last season, and they only got to 91 points. 91. Let me double check. Yeah, 91. If Pittsburgh gets ravaged by injuries, look out. But I can't put Pittsburgh as a sophomore team because they're not just going to be there. They're going to be a threat. They're going to be a scoring threat, especially early on, especially if they're healthy. no doubt. But will this 82 game season derail them? Like, how much more punishment can those players take? No. Uh, here's another one for you. I don't see the Pens do not have any depth. None. They don't have they have a lot of veteran AHL teams. There's no prospects at all in Pittsburgh. Not at all. How are you, Tommy? What's going on? Pittsburgh for me is everything up front, uploaded no matter what. There's no one saving them in the American Hockey League. Absolutely no one. This is what they have. If the 82 game season wreaks havoc in Pittsburgh, there's got to be some selling involved. But all they did was supplement Gensel for Carlson. Okay. With Eric Carlson, it's kind of like what Columbus did with Goudreau last year. Columbus signs Johnny Goudreau, ticket sales off through the roof, jerseys off the rack. Carlson, same idea. Same idea. Season tickets all sold out. Jerseys gone. But yeah, Tommy, we said that already. Penn's goaltending defense very very shaky, no doubt. This is why I have Pittsburgh as a bubble team. Pittsburgh's going to be buyers if they're in this. Do I think Pittsburgh's a 93-point team? Of course. Of course. As long as they stay healthy. But there's no one else saving Pittsburgh. No. If they're fairly close in the Metro, yeah, they're buyers. Let's just get that out of the way. To me, obviously they're going for that depth defenseman. They're going to see if they can look for another goalie somewhere in there. They really need to. So that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are my last bubble team. Now, these next 6 teams. These are in my playoff teams. These are not necessarily going to be your top 6, but these are the 6 teams right now that are most likely to net you 93 points, probably more. And they don't have to finish 1 through 6. They can finish 1 through 8. And, again, usually I'm good with this, but there's always that one team that racks up the injuries and they're out. There's nothing you can do. That's why we play the season. So, without further ado, Islander fans, I have you as a playoff team. And no, this is not homerism. Um, your defense is good despite Sebastian Aho. Don't worry about Sebastian Aho. Samuel Bolduc will be able to. Those two are going to balance everything out. Trust me. Noah Dobson, you're going to see a better year out of Noah Dobson. You've got Sorokin and you have Varlamov in the back. Now, Brian brought up the fact that the Islanders are old too. That's a big negative. Absolutely wrong. This is the Islanders right now. If I got it to the correct page here. Okay. Yes, the Islanders right now have an average of 466 games per player. What does Carolina have? I'll jump to them real quick. 460. 460. If everyone has Carolina, guess what? The Islanders are right there. Here's another thing. You take out Clutterbuck, you take out Matt Martin. The Islanders are they're right around the New Jersey Devils at 406. 406. So if you remove 2/3 of the identity line, you're as young as New Jersey, and you have, you have the experience of the New Jersey Devils right now. That's it. You're much younger than everyone outside of Long Island's probably telling you. Okay. So, no, we're not old. And you're going to need that identity line for the playoffs anyway. So, if Clutterbuck, we don't want him to get injured. If he's injured, okay, we have replacements. Okay. The other thing that has been bothering me a little bit is that the Islanders finished with 92 points. Let me make sure I get that. 93 points? What the hell am I doing? Yes, 93 points. And all the teams got better, so the Islanders are going to drop. Wrong. Wrong math. I hate that. I can't stand it. Okay. The Islanders, the last 30 games of the season. And for those of you who are brand new to the show, I do percentages all the time. It's very easy for me. I do it. This is how you keep track. Okay. The Islanders were on pace for 102 points the last 30 games of the season without Matthew Barzell, without Oliver Wahlstrom. Are the Islanders going to rack up 115 points with two of them back? No, I'm not making that prediction. But are the Islanders going to suck? No. What do the Islanders need to do? They need to stop with that damn slow start in the first period. That's got to stop. We saw that last night. I don't care if it was a preseason game. That's a bad habit. I don't care if it was the first game. It's a bad habit. We don't want to see that. What else do not want to see? We do not want to see a blind behind the back pass on a power play. Those are my only two gripes so far. They will fix that. Do I think the Islanders constructed right now with the team that they have 93 points? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? The last time ESPN picked us to win the Stanley Cup or make a run, we weren't even in the playoffs. I will take bottom 10. I'll take out of the playoffs. This is what we prefer anyway. I am not buying into the fact that this is going to be a 75-point team. No chance. I'll even do it for you guys. Hold on for 1 minute. Bottom 10? Bottom 10. You're looking at -5. You're looking anywhere from 60 to 80 points. Are you kidding me? The Islanders are going to be 60 to 80 points. That's a bottom 10 team. 60 to 80 points, boys and girls. That's a bottom 10 team. No, stop it. The Islanders are going to be better than that. Now, moving on, the Rangers are in the same situation. The Islanders have a couple of younger players who need to show something. Oliver Wahlstrom, maybe a little bit more out of Sebastian Aho, but this is Aho's last year. The Rangers have Capo Caco. They've got Lafreniere. They need to produce more. Why? Because they're in New York City. It's time for them to produce. However, I've always disagreed with the way they've been developed, but that's another story for another time. The Rangers, in terms of the mileage, okay, they're right there with the New York Islanders, 464. Right there. That's the offense. I'm sorry, that's the total amount of games. They're right there with the Islanders. Their offense is a little bit older, 29. That's okay though. Their defense is what's putting them ahead, 25.5. The only thing with the Rangers, and I've said this before, I'm not sold on Jonathan Quick. I'm not. I'm not sold on Jonathan Quick. And I don't know if the Rangers have a backup in Hartford. Louis Domingue. Okay, can lightning, strike twice with, Louis Domingue. There's more pressure on the Rangers to make the playoffs this year than there are the Islanders. Islander fans, we all have our standards. Yes, it's playoffs and beyond, and we should absolutely. But the Rangers right now, they have got to be doing something. If they don't, it's over. The Rangers, I can't wait for Ranger fans to go nuts if the Rangers miss the playoffs. I'm going, yeah, we'll do a little bit more on Wally, but I agree. I think Wally's going to rack up 20. But again, and I've said this on previous shows, I don't mind if Oliver Wahlstrom takes a little bit of time in that first half. Let's say he racks up 15 goals for the entire season, but he starts to do it more in the second half. And then come the playoffs, if they are in, he just lights it up in the playoffs. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. I just want to see a confident Oliver Wahlstrom in the playoffs. That's all I want. Now, moving on, Rangers, they will go as far as Shesterkin. Bottom line, if Shesterkin is hot, Rangers should make 93 points. It's easy. Should be easy for them. Um, we haven't seen a lot of injuries out of the Rangers, though. That's what I'm waiting for. Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot of people are sleeping on Tampa Bay because they're looking older. Let me do this again. Okay. I don't know where people are getting this from. Their offense, folks, yeah, they're in the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference, but they're around 277. Their goaltending is 222. Yes, Andre Vasilevsky is going to be the key. Very much like the Rangers and Shesterkin. Their backup goaltender, I'm not going to lie, he's decent. And if it's the one thing I will give Tampa Bay a ton of credit for, it's their scouting. They're damn good at their scouting. When you're in salary cap hell, you want scouts like that. And Tampa has some of the best scouts. Here's the thing with Tampa. Is Tampa really old? No. And here's why. The Tampa Bay Lightning, they're dead smack in the middle. In terms of the mileage, 431 games per player. Dead smack in the middle. In terms of experience, they're younger than the Islanders, they're younger than the Rangers, they're younger than Toronto, they're younger than Boston. Okay? Their offense, right with Toronto, 28. A little bit on the older side, but that's expected. There's a lot of talent there. Their defense, also on a little bit on that older side, 28.4. So what does this mean? They're younger on the experience side, but they're older teams. It means their scouts have been scouting these other players from other NHL teams who haven't had a chance to really play, and they're swiping up these 25, 26 years old with minimal games in the NHL, and they're bringing them into a winning environment, and you have the Tampa Bay Lightning, ladies and gentlemen. That's what that means. It's incredible what Tampa Bay continues to do. Good question here, Mark. Is Tampa Bay's depth the same as it was a few years ago? No, it is not. It is not as bad as Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has none. None. And you guys know I go to almost a lot of AHL games because I'm close to all of them. I've gone to a couple of Syracuse games. I can tell you right now, they don't have a lot. They have more than Pittsburgh, but I don't know if they have enough to save themselves through the season. But Tampa Bay's young enough where they should be able to hold on. Um, moving on, New Jersey Devils. Um, what's to say? Big year last year from them. They built on everything. Could they be buyers? Probably. Do they have to be? I don't think so. I think if you're the New Jersey Devils, you're just going to grab yourself some depth. That's about it. Grab yourself some depth and run with the players that you have. That's how good New Jersey is right now. If they can have a successful AHL season, have those kids ready for the playoffs. That's all New Jersey has to do at this point. Um, let's see. Mileage, they're right there. 406, the same as Detroit. Their prime. Offense, their average age is 26, which is actually the conference average. So they're right there. Defensively, just slightly below average on the defense. But again, goaltending for the Devils is what's going to have me go left and right. I think out of the three goaltenders, they can get themselves a 93-point season. I think it's going to be more than that, obviously. But injuries aside, if injuries occur, I think the New Jersey Devils can still make the playoffs. Um, I think they're in. It would take an absolute plague these days to just to knock them out. There's a lot there. Um, I like where they are. You know what? I think they're going to be a really good regular season team this year. I don't know if they're going to do well in the playoffs. I think they might hit that little stumbling ground. And for us older Islander fans or those who have reviewed Islanders history, the Islanders have taken bumps. The Edmonton Oilers have taken bumps. Uh, you know, we've seen it in other teams. Tampa Bay couldn't get through until just a couple of seasons ago. I think the New Jersey Devils may take a bump this season in the playoffs. Uh, Regular season, get their goaltending fixed if it needs fixing. Um, but we'll talk about the Devils come playoff time. We'll see where they are at that point. But the Devils are going to be so much fun to watch, and I'm happy for the Devils too. It's been a long time for them as well. I don't know how well they're going to do in the playoffs, so it depends on who they play. Moving on again, Carolina Hurricanes. This is Carolina's division. This is Carolina's conference to win. Done. Can this is the Tampa Bay Lightning, folks. These are the Tampa Bay Lightning right now. Can they get past the second round? Can they get to the Stanley Cup Finals? Okay. Carolina, they're right around the Rangers. They're right around the Islanders. 460 games per player. That's a decent number. 460 is decent. Believe it or not. 460 is decent. Their offense is at 27 years. But here's the kicker with Carolina's defense. They are the oldest in the Eastern Conference at a little over 29 years. Okay, so Carolina's greatest asset could be their biggest weakness as well. Yes, they play a very good team defense, but you need your defensemen to stay healthy. Their goaltending is okay. I'm waiting for those cracks to happen. And this is the other thing, folks, with the Carolina Hurricanes. They have had an excellent long line of successful regular seasons. I'm waiting for the rug to just slip from underneath them. I'm really waiting for those injuries to pile up on Carolina at some point. Is this a down year for Carolina? It shouldn't be. For me, Carolina, doesn't matter where they finish, they have to make the Stanley Cup run. This is their run. This is their year to do it. Carolina obviously has enough for 93 points, but I will say this now. Not having an AHL farm team is going to hurt them, especially in the longer term. Fair. That's all fair. Hold on. That's a 90-point team still, Rich. And that's what I'm going with. Yeah, and for for everyone who has Carolina going for the cup, you should. You should. Carolina should be going for the cup finals. This is it. So, Carolina, good luck. Not in the playoffs. Last team, Toronto. Oh man. I look, we were talking about the younger teams in the Atlantic Division. This is going to be such a hot mess. And God help Toronto. If Montreal's healthy enough that they steal a couple of games during during their regular season. Toronto, this is it, Toronto. Like, this is your last year. Re-signing Michael Nylander, probably not a good idea. It's not. If you can, trade him now. Trade him now, get the younger assets. I mean, unless you're gonna sign him, good luck. Because you've got a lot of competition in that Atlantic division. This is your division to win. What happens in the playoffs is obviously going to be determined by other teams, but Toronto, this is it for you. Sorry. Like I said before, Toronto plays Boston in the first round. Boston's got the defense and the goaltending to knock out Toronto. And we've seen Boston beat Toronto before. We've seen this broken record. Toronto. Toronto's offense should get them into a playoff spot. With 93 points, absolutely. Where they finish, who knows? 93 points. The defense and goaltending together. Where are you? Oh yeah. 230, 240. You're in the shooting gallery. You should have enough offense to get you into the playoffs. Toronto, though, you have over 500, 515 to be exact, 515 games per player. 515 games per player. You're old in terms of mileage there, Toronto. Your offense is around average, the average age of 27, young 27, and that's okay. Your defense, Toronto, is good. You're at 26. So you've had a lot of younger players playing in earlier in their careers than some of the other teams, say like Tampa Bay. I'm not putting Toronto in that Pittsburgh Penguin status because Pittsburgh's in right now they're in the standings of their own in terms of age and mileage and can they go through an 82 game season. But Toronto, very simple. This is your division to win. Again, Angie, very good as well. Their goaltending is questionable, but there's enough in the shooters gallery that's now going to be called the Atlantic Division. It's a shooting gallery. Who's got the offense to get them into the playoffs? The Toronto Maple Leafs do. Okay, folks, let me explain what a shooting gallery is. Okay, I've taken some of the offensive numbers that each team should score this season. Toronto 293, Detroit 291, the Rangers at 287, Ottawa 284, New Jersey 280, Tampa 277, Florida 274, Buffalo 272. Six out of the top eight teams in the conference with scoring potential are all coming out of the Atlantic Division. It's going to be a shooter's gallery. Maybe they'll get goaltending during the trade deadline. That's why a team like Boston intrigues me. Boston has enough defense and goaltending to get them into the playoffs. Does Boston make a move or two to grab a little more offense? They probably can. They probably will, but they don't have to do it right now. Maple Leafs, your division to win. Good luck. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Eastern Conference. It's water cooler talk time. Questions, comments, concerns, anything. Pittsburgh, Islanders, Rangers. I don't care. Bring it on. Let's do it. This is the part of the season I love. Everyone's ready to go. 13 out of 15 teams in this Eastern Conference have a shot at a playoff spot. That I love. Why not? Philly, Montreal, not their year for now. Montreal, I still think is going to wreak havoc if they're healthy. Oh, I can't wait to see that drama. Are we finally going to get our shootouts problems fixed this year? Man, I hope so. I hope so. You talk about terror reading, crystal ball. I can't answer that. It's a good question. I hope they've worked on it. I hope they find one or two people who can do a shootout. God, I hope so. But I'll go a step further. I hope this team can finish off. I hope the Islanders can finish off these other teams before the shootout. That's the goal. Finish it. That's what I want to see. And yeah, getting back to Tommy's point, I do see Oliver Wahlstrom doing really well. Is Dufour a fixture on the team by March? Excellent question. For those of you who know, I follow the prospects all over the place. Doesn't matter what league. I need to see William Dufour dominate the American Hockey League. What do I mean by dominate? 30 goals, 30, 35 points, 60, 70 points. I want to see William Dufour get as close to a point per game as possible. I'll even take, let's see, out of a 63 or 67 game season, I want to see William Dufour anything over 55, 56, as close to 60 as possible. I need to see him dominate because then what is he doing? He's forcing the Islanders' hands. Bottom line. So let him blow everyone away in Bridgeport in the American Hockey League first, then go from there. He's close. He's close. The skating is there. The shot is there. It's just some of the other little things he needs to work on. It may not take him much, but I would love to see Bridgeport say, "Go get him, kid. Let's see what you can do. We'll work on your little things during the season, but go get him." Same thing with Simon Holmstrom. Same thing with Ruslan Ishikov. Go get him, guys. Let's see what you can really do. Put it all together and just do it. I would love to see those three kids go nuts. With Matthew Maggio, I don't put that kind of expectations on him. It's his first year. It's his first professional season. Um, I've learned in my time not to put any pressure on any kid in their first year professionally. Let him learn the game. He's probably ahead of the curve, sure, but I don't want to put any pressure on Maggio. Whatever he comes out with, he comes out with because the team will always be telling him they'll be a little more specific with him. Oh yeah, yeah. Definitely. I liked his skating. For me, it was just his skating. I That was really a big problem for me last season with him. Uh, right now, I think with Dufour, and I think we can all agree on this at this point, it's consistency. And that's part of dominating the American Hockey League, folks. That's what I mean by dominating. Show the consistency, and then put up the numbers that you're supposed to put up. Who winds up with the first line with Horvat and Barzal? Look, Mark, great question. I was happily surprised to see Durando on that first line with Horvat and Barzell. I like Durando. Again, he's another one. I want to see him just dominate the American Hockey League. Um, and believe it or not, Durando has been chatted about in terms of trade bait. So I don't know if there would be a team that would actually pick him up during a waiver wire because he would have to clear waivers um, because he is 24 years old. I do like the fact that he would be a proper replacement for Anders Lee if Anders Lee got injured. But I'm not going to lie, Lee's been doing pretty well the last couple of seasons, and I've had this argument. Well, let's put it this way: I've had a pleasant discussion, serious pleasant discussion when it comes to Anders Lee. Anders Lee has not played with a center like Bo Horvat yet. The closest Anders Lee has probably had to that kind of a center is John Tavares. Anders Lee does not have to skate up and down with Matthew Barzell and Bo Horvat. There's going to be a lot of garbage goals for Lee to collect if he plays the savvy veteran way. Because if Horvat and Barzell start shooting the puck, Lee's going to be there for a lot of those garbage goals. That's what you want Lee to do. And when he's finally in position, because you know Barzell's going to circle around with the puck, let's just get that out of the way. He's going to give Lee enough time where Barzell can pass it to Horvat. Horvat will shoot the puck, and Lee will be there for the deflection. There's enough of Lee's game, despite the speed, that he can still play on that first line, at least for this year. The thing with Durando is there's enough going around the NHL where he could get claimed in a waiver wire. So I think they're going to give Durando a real good, long, hard look and maybe make a decision towards the end of camp. We'll see. Um, I'm all right with Enval. I understand the need for the speed part, but I really want to see how Kyle Palmieri is. Because if Kyle Palmieri is injured, then I can move Enval up because you don't have that line at the moment. I really would love to see Enval, um, Palmieri, and Brock together on the line. I would. Best Islanders last night with Duranto, Dufour, and Fashing. Of course. Of course. This is what you want. Look, if most veterans, they only want to play 3 games. That's it. They only want to play 3 games. They just want to get through the preseason, uninjured, ready to go, shake off the rust, yada yada yada. Dufour, Durando, Fashing, all these guys, they've got something to prove still. Even Fashing. Fashing has something to prove still. That he's more than just a bottom line forward. And it's good that these kids are starting to, really start to show you that the game is coming to them and they're succeeding. That for me, who's someone who follows prospects all the time, this is something you want to see. But again, Durando's not a prospect anymore. He's 24. He's got the game coming to him. Could Horvat score 40 goals with Barzell healthy all year? Ooh. Oh. If Barzell, well, here's the thing. In order for Bo Horvat to score 40 goals, Barzell has to shoot the puck more. That's actually going to be the key. If Barzell shoots the puck more, I think Bo Horvat can score 40 goals. Look, and I know, this has always been my gripe. You guys know this. I hate it when prospects get built up during training camp. I hate it. I just I'm happy that they're doing well. I'm happy that they listen to their trainers over the summer, and I'm happy that they're following what the Islanders told them to do. No doubt. And it's exciting for the fans because it gives them something to cheer on when they're here. Isaiah George and the other medias have said this. He's not ready. He's supposed to look lost. He has not played in a game like that ever in his life against professionals like that. It is supposed to happen. This is where you are to make as many mistakes as possible, learn from that, correct it, and apply it to in his case, a very long, hopefully a very long Memorial Cup run this season. I will still hold true to the fact that I have said Isaiah George will probably end up being a very solid bottom pair defenseman. Could he see time as a top four? Yes. That's not going to be his mainstay. Could he be solid years down the road? Absolutely. But is he supposed to look lost? Yes. And I just don't like it when prospects get built up in the middle of training camp. Training camp and preseason are the absolute worst times to build up any kind of a prospect. Yeah, yeah, see, this is what I hate. Stop. I don't want to be that argumentative. I have never put anything, any kind of expectation on any prospect until their second year in Bridgeport. Bottom line. Yes, we knew Noah Dobson was going to be special. We knew that. But honestly, he's been the only one. Noah Dobson has been the only exception. Everybody else, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to show my age here, I want this Bill Torrey moment. Send these kids down to a better positive environment. Let them learn the game because the NHL is not for anyone learning the game. Let him do his final year. Let him make that long Memorial Cup run. Bring him down. Send him down to Bridgeport that first year, and then you start to make decisions as to how and what he needs to do to improve. Could he be special? Yes. Is it too early? No doubt. No doubt. Because I'll tell you right now, the London Knights, they are stocked. The London Knights are absolutely stacked, not stocked, stacked with defensemen. Agreed. Minimum two. Minimum two. Minimum two. No, I'll say this now. No, not a second coming. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You guys know me for far too long. You know I do all these prospects. No, no. The reason why the media, the local media, they want to build up these prospects is because everyone is going and they're playing sucker when they read the rankings prospect list. Okay. Oh, don't even get me started on that. Okay. So, what the media, the local media are doing is that they're trying to build up some of these players to give off the idea that, the Islanders really aren't 30th in the league. Just don't hate that. I can't stand it. I can tell you now, nobody, not nobody, most of the general managers, they don't even look at the rankings. Anyone who works in the NHL, they're not looking at the rankings. Only the fans. Oh, drives me nuts. Oh, do we see Ishikov this year? God, I hope so. But again, Ishikov is in that Simon Holmstrom. He's in that William DeFord. Dominate the American Hockey League. Ruslan Ishikov is your Matt Barzell of the American Hockey League. But to Ishikov's credit, and he said this with an interview with Andrew Gross, last year was his first full season as a left winger. It was his first full season. If he can do it again and dominate as a left winger, you could see him come up. I wanted Ishikov to come up last year. He was my Trent Hunter heading into the playoffs. The kid had enough speed, but I think Matt Barzell came back. But again, the Islanders are holding on to Ishikov for a little while longer. Probably needs a little more work. I really don't know what they need to work on him, but I'll find out later. Any sleeper prospects out there that are a year or so away? I think you guys are really going to like Itu Liukas. You guys have, you've heard me say this before. Even when he was drafted, he's Matt Martin. He's a hybrid version of Matt Martin. He's going to be a lot of fun. And again, you've heard him through the interviews, and this is what I love about training camp, the rookie camps, and the local media talking to these kids. They'll tell you all about their games. Okay, Liukas loves the North American game. Okay, because when you're over in Europe, the rinks are wider, so there's more room for finesse. There's more move for not necessarily the skills, but there's more of that one on one with Liukas. He loves that the shrinkage of the wide the width of the rinks. They're smaller, so when Liukas hits you, it's really gonna hurt. So yes, he's been working on the footwork and everything, but can he put up goals? We're gonna find out when he's in Bridgeport. That's the kicker. Give him 1 year in Bridgeport. We'll see how he adjusts. Um, in all honesty, you get anywhere from 7 to 12 goals for Liukas. He can come up and play in the NHL. Another sleeper, I'm going to go prospect here, believe it or not, is Kyle McLean. And I put him as a prospect. He's actually part of my core group, boys and girls, because he, yes, was not drafted, but he wasn't signed by any other team. He's been homegrown by the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. And to be quite honest with you, he's been putting up numbers similar to Casey Zizekas when he was in Bridgeport. This kid just needs 10 to 15 goals. Another good season in Bridgeport. I honestly think Kyle McLean could be the eventual replacement for Casey Cizikas. So yes, the Islanders aren't that depth. They're not that deep, but that's how they're designed to be. They're not designed to be deep, but they have enough players right now where if someone goes down, and you guys know this already just from talking here. Anders Lee, where's my thumb? There we go. Anders Lee. could be replaced by Durando on that top line. A middle six on that left wing side, you're looking at Ishikov. At the center position, Kyle McLean on the fourth line. Otto Koivula, Otto should have dominated the American Hockey League at this point. I don't know, but he's still here. We'll go from there. Um, Defensively, Dennis Chalowski. Dennis Chalowski, 2016 draft pick. I think he needed, more of a head game for him, more passion out of him, more of a personal drive. If you could, I think he would definitely replace. He would probably replace Aho and Bolduc as a third pairing defenseman if he had that drive. That's just my opinion, but he didn't have it. That's why Detroit let him go. Listen, some of the older guys, Hutton. I could see Hutton replacing Scott Mayfield. Absolutely. Robin Salo. Again, Robin Salo. I don't know with him. He didn't put any numbers up in Bridgeport last year. I don't know where he's going to be at. He could still have top four potential. With the Islanders, I doubt it at this point. So there is enough in Bridgeport, and this is for the entire overall season for the Islanders. What the Islanders were lacking last year was talented depth. This year, the Islanders have that depth where they can plug in a few players and they can still keep this train rolling. They can still keep this horse race going now that we're all in Belmont now. So there's enough here. And if there isn't, I don't want to really get into that, but I'll say this now. Yes, Oliver Wahlstrom is kind of like in the hot seat to a certain degree. But I think Oliver Wahlstrom could find another team and he may do well that way. Lane Lambert, I think, is very much in the hot seat. Lane Lambert's very much in the hot seat. And I think at some point, no, I won't go that far yet. I won't bring in Lou just yet. Lane Lambert is definitely in the hot seat if the Islanders don't make the playoffs this year. Now, if they get plagued with injuries and they miss the playoffs, okay, maybe a different philosophy is at hand. We'll see. I don't want to go that route though. Not yet. It's too early. We're still talking September 27th. So there's that. Any other questions, comments, concerns? The prospects are good. Don't get me wrong. They're good. Okay. We haven't even talked about Alex Jeffries yet and Cameron Burke. Okay. If you guys follow the show several months ago, you guys already know Alex Jeffries and Cameron Burke are already AHL ready. They're just going for national championships with their respective colleges at the moment. Nelson, Danny Nelson, we'll find out what he is. So, any other questions, comments, concerns in the Eastern Conference preview here? An hour and 18 minutes. What the hell am I doing? What the hell are you guys doing listening to me for an hour and 18 minutes? Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, if it's a plague of injuries, they may keep him, but a very, very short leash. And this is just being diplomatic at the moment. But yeah, if the Islanders miss the playoffs, I think Lane is gone. Yeah, this has a very much of a Washington Capitals feel. And I forget the coach who replaced Barry Trotz. Made it to the playoffs, didn't get very far, and gone. Um, okay, good. As long as you guys are doing something else other than just listening to me. Good God. Um, yeah, but I enjoy doing these 6 hour drafts. That was fine. That's easy for me. The draft I love doing. So, all right, boys and girls, that's it from here on Water Cooler Talk. Listen, you've got 13 teams in the Eastern Conference right now. September. This is beginning of October. This is the time to feel good. Don't stress over the preseason games. Don't do it. Don't do it. Enjoy the preseason games. Enjoy yelling at Lou for now. Enjoy yelling at the players. It doesn't count. Not that Lou pays attention to you anyway. Okay. But the Eastern Conference, you've got 13 teams. solid 13 teams who are all have a shot here. What happens during the regular season, we'll find out. That's why we watch it. That's why we, you know, that's why we do things. So, um, for those of you on social media, please follow us on Twitter at Isles Talk. Follow us on Facebook, and please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Definitely will help us out on the show. And yeah, I'll play Homerism on this one. Let's go, Islanders! Thank you so much for coming, and ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. We will see you sometime next week. I believe it or not, I'm trying to get. Oh, I just lost his name. We'll have a surprise guest come on next week. If not, we're going to talk about the court. Something that we normally do during the season. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night. Let's go, Islanders. Enjoy your game tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers.